Don't worry, you are listening to this webcast. I have to post this on here as one of my duties as a lawyer, so don't think there's something wrong. Just go ahead and read it real quick, and we'll get started with our webinar. So welcome. I hope you're having a great day. This is part of RealPropertyU.com's educational series for buyers. Today we're going to be talking briefly about deposits. What do you need to know as a buyer about deposits? My name's Adam Ouellette. I am a licensed attorney in Florida for almost 15 years, and I'm also a real estate licensed law instructor. What does that mean? Well, I have a real estate school, and I have a license to teach that real estate school, and have taught thousands of real estate agents over the years, and a ton of people that are first-time home buyers, sellers, just talked to a whole lot of people and helped a lot of people over the years. So put this website together to give people more information about the real estate marketplace and buying and selling and stuff like that. So thanks for joining us today. Hopefully when we're done you'll have a nice idea about deposits and what it's all about. So why do you need a deposit? Well, you need a deposit because without it you don't have a valid contract. Deposit is also called earnest money, and it's what you put up to show that you're real and that there's consideration, which is a legal term, the consideration for a contract. So without the consideration, you don't have a valid binding contract. So you got to have deposit money unless you can say that your consideration is love or something like that. But in an arm's length transaction, which is most transactions nowadays, you have to have deposit money so that the contract can be valid and it can be an enforceable contract. So a lot of the questions I've gotten over the years are based on how much is normal to put down on any kind of contract. Well, and it really comes down to how much the seller is willing to accept or how little the seller is willing to accept as a deposit. There are some guidelines that I've talked to people about on the phone over the years, but the problem is as a buyer you're going to want to put down as little as you can, and then the seller is going to want as much as possible, because what happens is that deposit, if you default, the deposit is actually what the seller and the real estate agents can go after if you don't live up to your end of the bargain. So why does the seller want more than you want to give? It's because there's some security there if you don't end up closing and you breach the contract. So you have to work with your realtor and determine what is reasonable for your purchase price. And we're always available for these kind of questions. I've done thousands of closings, so if you have a question like that, feel free to reach out to me. So next, we'll quickly talk about when deposits are due. Deposit is due at the execution of the contract by all the parties. It's always good to have the deposit check with your agent before you enter into the contract, because depending on what the offer says, sometimes you're supposed to have that in the bank before you even present the offer. There are different scenarios, but you just need to make sure that the deposit is with your agent or the escrow agent once the contract gets entered into and everybody signs it and it's all fully done. One of the new things on the new FAR contract, it's the contract that most people are using nowadays, is that it gives you the right to put the deposit in escrow after the contract is fully executed. But most sellers won't go for that because they want to know that your deposit is in the bank and has been cashed by the escrow agent. A lot of times real estate agents will put additional deposits after maybe the inspection date is over. So you don't have to put a big chunk down from the beginning. You wait till the inspection's over and you decide whether you're going to go forward with the transaction, and the inspection is done and you know that there's nothing major and you're okay with everything. Then an additional deposit's what it's called. And so as far as an additional deposit, that needs to go in the bank depending on how many days have elapsed that the contract requires. A lot of times it's between 10 and 15 days, depending, like I said, upon some of the requirements in the contract. But you as the buyer have a duty to make sure that whoever the escrow agent is gets that check in a timely fashion. Now, a realtor has a duty to ask you for that check, but ultimately when you look at it, it's your responsibility as the buyer to make sure that that money goes in timely. So if it says 10 days from the execution of the contract and you're going to move forward based on whatever the contract says at that 10-day mark, then you need to have that check over, and it needs to go in the bank. So it's pretty important as far as the contract law is concerned. There's going to be different escrow agents. Sometimes brokers, real estate brokers, will hold escrow for their buyers and their transactions. But the other thing is there's a lot of closing agents. Like my title company holds escrow for a lot of the transactions that we do. So that's a good question to ask your real estate agent. Who's going to hold my escrow money? Because you're going to want to know who it is and where it's going and who's in charge and stuff like that. So the closing agent can be the escrow agent as well. And that's a good reason to know that, is because, like I said, with the additional deposits, you're going to want to know who's going to get that check. And most of the time, the real estate agent will oversee that process, but it is your job. So I want to thank you for meeting with us today through this web video. Here's my information. I look forward to hopefully meeting you one day, and I hope this was some good information. Keep checking back with us. If you're a member of Real Property U, it's a free service. I'm going to be posting quite a few videos on all kinds of topics, and if you have any ideas for topics that you want to know more about, email me at adam@broward-law.com, and I'll take a look at it and maybe even do a webcast like this on that topic. Again, I wish you luck with your transaction, and have a great day.